Welcome back, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to the latest episode of Dick Rogers' Space Detective, and we have a very exciting episode for you today.
You guys have to warn me the next time you're planning on doing something like that.
Don't blame Mike. I swore him to secrecy.
I'm just happy to be in on the bit.
Okay, so maybe the intro has gotten a little bit predictable?
No, that's a good thing.
It's familiar. It gives a listener a sense of security at the beginning, etc.
You should not have pointed that out, though, because if there's one thing about myself I know to be true, it's that I cannot abide predictability. Last month, I went to my normal coffee shop, and the barista had my usual order ready for me when I got to the front of the line. It took everything I had to say thank you and pay for the drinks instead of rejecting them and making her start from scratch.
Wait, drinks?
And now I can never go into that coffee shop again, or at least not if she's still working there.
But, I mean, that's my favorite part of the day, going to the coffee shop, seeing my favorite baristas. It's like my home away from home. How could that ever be a bad thing?
All right, we're going off script. Daniel, tell me your favorite thing about the script we're presenting today.
I guess I like the stories about alien abductions and cattle mutilations. I was really into that whole alien abduction thing back when that was a big deal.
Yeah, listeners, Daniel is co-hosting with me and Skeevy Mike today.
Hey.
Mike, lightning round. Name your favorite character, sound effect, and fictional piece of technology in this script. You have 12 seconds.
Favorite character, Spike. Favorite sound effect.
Time's up, Mike. The answer is telescopes, because that's what you use to make sightings, which is the name of this episode.
Come on now, Eleanor, you're not even...
And I never will again. I'm not hosting this podcast with you. You're hosting this podcast with me.
And, well, I feel like we've learned something important today.
Yeah, I'm not super sure what that lesson is, but we definitely can't ignore it.
So this episode is called Sightings.
Yeah, it's quite a different style of script for the Dick Rogers radio show. It's written in the style of an investigative report, or like an audio documentary.
Yeah, it's different. Say, do you want to roll the show and I can try and corral Eleanor?
Sounds like a reasonable plan to me. Here we go.
This is an interplanetary prepaid comm call from...
It's Spike. I swear I'm not guilty.
Inmate at the Neptunian Correctional Facility. Do you accept?
From ZUFO on Pluto, this is Sightings, a year-long investigation told in one episode. I'm Dick Rogers, Space Detective. For the last year, I've spent every waking hour trying to uncover the mystery behind a series of events that occurred one evening approximately 18 months ago. And if you want to get technical about it, which apparently for some godforsaken reason I do, where one cowboy was for 72 hours during a double-week shift on a remote ranch on Uranus back in March of 2056. This investigation has often felt futile and ridiculous. I've learned way too much about the sex lives of space cowboys, inserted myself into land disputes between ranchers, got flagged by the GIF for a few extra strange intergalactic data search requests, became somewhat of an expert on probes, and have gotten too close and personal with a herd of cows. Now, usually I don't do nice or helpful. I don't do pro bono. I am staunchly anti-bono. Hell, I'll charge double if a client calls before my second cup of coffee in the morning. But for the past 362 days, I've been reviewing the case involving Spike Lone Star, a young space cowboy. Here's the basics of the case I've been working on, stressing on, and obsessing over.
This is Act 1 of our episode, Act 1, overview of the case.
All across New Oregon, the farming state on Uranus, stuff had been happening to local cows. Some cows are simply vanishing. Other cows, well, there's no easy way to say this. And I mean that literally. It's difficult for me to pronounce. They're being exsanguinated, drained of all their blood. Still others, upon inspection, have had body parts removed with a precision that impresses even surgeons. For a long while, nobody knew who to blame. But then one day, a cowboy vanished, halfway through a week-long shift out on the range. 3 days later, he reappears with no memory of what happened to him, no explanation of how he was able to survive on recently terraformed land without any food, water, or clothing. Yes, our victim, or criminal, depending on who you believe, was found in the early morning hours just before dawn in the middle of a field with zero clothes on. Now, I had a hard time believing this kid spent 3 days out on the fields himself. Uranus isn't particularly forgiving. Even after the government installed artificial atmosphere and terraformed large swaths of the planet. I knew the only way I had a chance of solving this thing was to go directly to the source. Navigating Uranus isn't easy. It takes a lot of time and preparation. And even then, its atmosphere makes a lot of people avoid it entirely.
We have come to Act 2 of our program. Act 2, the location.
There's nothing new about the weird goings-on in New Oregon or the sleepy middle-of-nowhere farming community of Molderville. No, strange occurrences have, well, occurred since the GIF first terraformed the planet. Still, it's a small town, and my arrival has been met with some raised eyebrows. Hello, sir. I'm Dick Rogers, space detective. I'm in town investigating the weird things happening here in Molderville. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
What did you say your name was?
Dick Rogers. I'm a space detective.
Oh, so you're here about that girl whose dad was the inventor, and she went to live in the big mansion at the end of the road where all the things move around and talk, and then we all went in there and almost got killed, and now everything up there's normal?
You know, the weather's been real weird around here lately. I mean, hot sauce has been raining from the sky, and meatballs, and I don't know, just lots of weird stuff going around out here.
Yeah, they got them noodles just flying right at us. It's a lot to deal with, I tell you.
Speaking of weather, we got a tornado come through here that's full of sharks and stuff, and it's like once a year. I swear to God.
Did you see the flying salami last week?
Now, who'd you say you're looking for?
I'm actually here researching a crime committed by someone on this planet.
Oh, you talking about that kid that put his wiener in a pie? And then, people got real upset about it. His dad tried to cover it up and didn't know that his mama was trying to put it in the county fair. And a bunch of people just real upset when they found out about it. Is that guy? He was real weird. I don't know.
There's this one time that monkey came through town, real big monkey. I mean, real big monkey. Was climbing all up on buildings and stuff. He had a lady with him. They shot that monkey down. It was real sad that day.
It was real sad. I was real sad.
Oh, you mean the research group that was holed up during the winter, and they followed this dog, and I mean later on we went to where they had holed themselves up, and I ain't never seen nothing like what was left over there.
It's a government conspiracy. They're using this to cover up the fact that we all know that Uranus is flat.
Are you talking about that old circus act that comes to town but once a year? And everyone had a great time, but we all get real inebriated and then don't ever remember how the show ends, and by the time we wake up at noon the next day, they're gone?
Oh, the aristocrats?
I thought that was the one where we got stuck in the cotton candy and, them kids had to come help us out and they were shooting popcorn everywhere. Wasn't that the one?
Oh, with the clowns.
Yeah, with the clowns.
Are you talking about that guy that shrink raises kids and they have to have a real coming-of-age adventure in their backyard?
And they make friends with an ant?
While fascinating, in this instance, I'm referring to the exsanguinated cattle.
If you ask me, I think the thing that's draining all the blood is that same creature we had over in that really dark lagoon. That was about 60, 70 years ago, but then I think 10 years ago we kind of made a reappearance, and it was more of a love story this time around. I never really followed it.
Yeah, the cows just keep falling off of it. I don't know.
Oh, the cows. I went to milk one the other day and mustard came out of the udders.
You milked those? I hear up down there in Space Mexico, they got this thing here called the chupa thingy, and it drains on them.
Chupacabra.
Yeah, that thing in there, and it drains them blood on them goats and stuff, and it might be the same thing. I don't know.
Man, these exsanguinated cows is a real sad story. Not like the way that my aunt and uncle met. You see, she was a high-powered lawyer who had just had no time for a husband. But then one weekend, she took a trip up to this little town in Vermont, and she bumped into the town's lumberjack who was just happened to be crossing the corner at the same time. Her papers went everywhere. Man, to hear them describe it, it was almost like they met in a really just kind of cute way.
Oh, I saw one of them cows They were lying on the street, and all four legs were pointed straight up like a table that was turned upside down. And I swear, there weren't not a drop of blood inside that cow.
I know, if they were missing all their blood, weren't they kind of like, squashy? Was somebody trying to make a chair and they just did it wrong? I mean, that's kind of what I figure.
I saw one time there was cows stacked on top of each other, like one on top of the other. There had to be like 8 cows tall.
I heard the farmer McGee used all the skins to make leather, but at night that leather glows bright green.
All right, so I know you're not going to believe this, but just hear me out. Dinosaurs. Millions and millions of years ago, back when dinosaurs were on Earth, they knew the comet was coming, and they built a spacecraft to escape the planet and save themselves, and they landed here on Uranus. And they've been hiding out for years until the gift came along and started colonizing. No. First the cows, then the rest of us. We'll all be dinosaur food sooner or later, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for your time.
You ever think maybe it's just giant mosquitoes?
No, I ain't heard of those cows.
Something like this happens about every 23 years or so.
Yeah, I heard about that. He kind of comes out and steals people's eyeballs.
Yeah, something about eyeballs and skin.
Something about eyeballs.
I saw one of those cows, and it had no blood, and it was in one of those crop circles. You heard of those crop circles? Where there's crops, but then there's this circle in it, where the crops are all pushed down, but they're not pushed down the way they would be if it was just a bunch of cows walking around in a circle. And I don't know why the cows would be walking around in a circle in the first place, but yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, I saw them crop circles one time. I tried to follow one of them, and it kept getting more and more trampled down the more I walked.
I just kept going around in circles.
Did you find one of them goblin kings in there? I heard about them goblin kings. They come and steal your children. You got to go and try and find them. It's real hard because you got to get around the circle, and you just keep going and
you
going.
You got to talk to that worm.
Oh yeah, that worm. Yeah, that worm.
If you ask me, the weirdest thing about all of this is that we're standing on the surface of Uranus, which don't have a surface. It's a gas giant made of methane, mostly. It's almost like this is just a fictional occurrence, so we can make a bunch of anus jokes.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me.
Why?
Right now, come with me.
I'm just trying to...
Sir, please stop
I'm just pointing
talking.
out the inconsistencies in the system. Ow!
What's a cow?
Yeah, I'm not actually from Boulderville. I'm from over in Scullyton, and, when I heard about those exsanguinated cows, I thought to myself, man, that is so weird. So weird. I meant it was very weird that all the blood is outside of the cows. It's not supposed to be outside of the cows. It's supposed to be inside the cows. But I thought I could go out there with my bag of equipment and really get into...
It was starting to sound like this town could use a whole squadron of space detectives. But I was here for one reason, and one reason only.
We have reached Act 3. Act 3, getting to know Spike.
The first time I talked to Spike, he issued a challenge. Test the gift's timeline.
Call from
It's Spike. I swear I'm not guilty.
inmate at the Neptunian Correctional Facility. Do you accept?
Yeah. Hey, kid. How you holding up?
It's okay, I guess. I've been learning Latin.
Okay. Great. Keep that mind sharp. So, Spike, last time we talked, you mentioned that what happened is impossible because what the gift described cannot happen in the timeline they presented it.
Yes, I don't know. I wish I could draw a picture for you or something. But listen, they say that I killed all this cattle, drained the blood, and made precision cuts. But they searched my bunk and found nothing. You can't even get sharp blades on this planet, and I sure as haven't been off this planet since I bought that one-way ticket here, right out of school. And speaking of that, my ma said, you know her from way back? Called and asked a favor of an old friend to help out her dumb kid.
Sure, kid. Met her once or twice. Nothing more to it. And look, I'm just a kind-hearted person. I do what I can to help others out. Now, let's get back to the task at hand.
Yes, okay. So, I don't have the gear to do this kind of thing. I don't have the time to do this kind of thing because I'm working all the time. Double week overnight shifts, 17 hours a day for 24 days. And I didn't spend 3 days out on the terra fields. I just know it.
I thought you told the Giffies that you didn't remember what happened.
I don't exactly remember, but I think I know what happened to me. It was 3 hours into my shift. The air got very cold. I heard strange whistling sounds in the night. I could see a bright flash of green light from the sky. All of a sudden, above me, I noticed a twirling head. A twirling head of cabbage, it looked like. A twirling, beautiful green cabbage above my face. That is the last thing I remembered. Next thing I know, I was on the ground, fully naked. Look, the timeline doesn't add up. First, 3 days they say I was gone. But for me, it didn't feel like 3 days. 1 minute, I was finishing up evening chores. And then the next, boom, I was laying flat out on the terra fields, bare naked. Now, 1 day, I could understand. 2 days, maybe. But 3, 3 whole days with no clothes on out in the terra fields would give a guy terrible radiation burns. But me? I was fine. Doc gave me a clean bill of health. Actually, I was surprisingly fit considering my time on Uranus and my cowboy lifestyle. Ha ha ha. And look, there's nothing to eat out on the fields. The Giffies found no water, no food, no nothing around me. How's that work? And did you go look at my file at Jiffy headquarters? They got photos. Did you see them?
Yes, I've got them scanned to my digifiles right here. What is this I'm looking at?
Well, Dick, that's me. Bit embarrassed to say, but that's my left cheek you're looking at. And that interesting mark, well, the aliens branded me.
But this looks totally healed. No way it was only 3 days old.
Those aliens must have super rapid healing serum or something, because it was not there before.
Can anyone verify you didn't have this brand before last week? I mean, family, your mom, or someone?
Look, mister, I don't know about your family, but we're not nudists. And it's been a while since I've gotten spanked. Look, you're just gonna have to believe me. I'm running out of options here. I was just working here for a couple of years to make enough cash to start a nightclub. I've got dreams, you know. When I first landed and unloaded in Uranus station, I thought this place would be my ticket to the big time. But now I'm stuck here in this dank, dark cell, and it just stinks.
We have come to Act 4. Act 4. Something doesn't add up.
My next goal was to hear the other side of this. As an outsider, I really felt for Spike. But a part of me wondered if his sincerity was all an act. If I was just being suckered into believing him. I had promised his mom I'd help shine some light on this case, but was I too close to this thing to see a clue right in front of me? I knew I had to get input from a local. In fact, the local, who originally accused Spike in the first place.
Look, this kid, he ain't what you think. Now, I know Spike's mom real well, but that boy, he's downright weird.
Oh, You know Marcia?
Oh, yeah. Know Marcia from way back. Always a good time when Marcia's on Uranus.
Right. Well, back to the matter of Spike. It's not illegal to be weird. So what other evidence do you have pointing to Spike as the perpetrator of this crime?
Well, the kid's always out and about at weird hours. Has very few friends, including that May. No one ever takes the 17-hour night shifts. A lot of the time I gotta threaten these cowboys within an inch of their lives to get them to work.
Why do your night shifts have to be so long? Couldn't you offer some better work-life balance? How about a 4-day work week?
Now, look here. I'm not the one in jail. My policies are all legit.
Well, why do you think he committed this crime?
Well, you know what's been going on around here.
With the cattle?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cattle with no blood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've talked to the boy.
I have.
Have you seen him?
I have not. I've seen a picture of his butt cheek.
Well, all I can say is if he tried to have you look at him in a mirror, you wouldn't see nothing.
I don't think I'm quite understanding what you're saying.
I would say I bet he's not a fan of Italian food because of all the garlic. I think, I would go as far as to say that he never drinks wine. If you really get him riled up, he might say something along the lines of, "I want to suck your blood." He's obviously a vampire.
Well, if you ask me, this whole business with Spike, I don't know what happened, but I do know this guy that came over from Scullyton, and he's gonna get to the bottom of this. He's got all this equipment in his van, and he's checking out those cows right now. I hope he finds what he's looking for. We have come to Act 5, in which Dick talks with May, the cutest little lady in Uranus.
May, thank you for meeting with me. I appreciate that you're willing to talk now, but what I want to know is, why didn't you talk when it really mattered, when Spike could have used your support before his trial?
Have you seen him? He's kind of a weird guy.
Well, as I've been saying this whole time, weird isn't a crime.
I suppose not. But he's okay and all. There just been some rumors.
Like what?
I don't want to gossip or anything.
May, gossip saves lives. And in this instance, it may save Spike's life. And some cattle.
Well, aren't we just gonna eat him anyway?
Yes. Well, Spike, we're saving a boy's life here. He has dreams of running his own nightclub.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, that's part of the rumor. Look, dreams are good and all, but what some folks have been saying is that a guy who is a bit strange comes to town from who knows where, out of nowhere, takes all the 17-hour night shifts and has big plans to open up a nightclub. You tell me, Dick, what does that sound like to you?
I don't quite understand why everyone keeps bringing up his infatuation with owning a nightclub. I think it's a perfectly respectable position for him to take.
I suppose. It's just, I don't know very many people on Uranus that want to open up some kind of nightclub. I did see him in the light once, and he kind of gets all shiny like a disco ball, and that looks really cool. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure.
And when you saw Spike, what time of day was it?
I'd say it's probably twilight.
We've come to Act 6 of our program. Act 6, rumors.
Trials in Uranus are often quick and end abruptly. Laws based on capitalism and greed drive this planet. The term speedy trial is more of a requirement than a right. So Spike's trial took all of 35 minutes from beginning to end. There were lots of holo recordings of the proceedings, and I've been poring over them since I got my hands on them last week. One section in particular I've been listening to over and over.
Chief Officer Perry, you were the first officer to arrive after the Q-Zarb's call came in. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Officer Perry, please keep this brief.
Apologies, Judge.
Perry, can you please describe to the court what you saw when you arrived on the scene?
It was about 15:07, right before dawn. The terra fields were awash in a hazy blue-green glow that happened just before sunrise. Several cowboys were circling their Hoover horses, looking at a pale white figure, hunched and shivering. I approached and realized the figure was none other than Spike Lone Star, totally naked except for a bit of cloth wrapped around his midsection. Barely recognized him at first. I offered him an emergency space blanket from my kit, but even though he looked about one shade wave translucent, he said he wasn't cold. The other cowboys are acting iffy, and when I pressed one, finally shared that Spike been missing for about 3 days. And when I asked him about it, he just mumbled that he didn't know. Now, I seen this kid around town, and I know being a cowboy in the fields don't make a man look younger, but this morning he looked aged, long in the tooth.
Objection! Witness is not keeping the speedy. I could have finished 4 cases in the time that it took him to say that testimony.
Sustained. Officer Perry.
Well, you know about them kid that talking about owning a nightclub and looking all pale and stuff, and everybody, but folks we around here don't like using the V word. Not ever since we, had that one spooky fella in the trench coat came around and chased them all out of town. But rumors on the street is that this fella might be a vampire.
This is Act 7. Act 7. What we know.
For all the time I spent on Uranus, in the end, it felt like I was left with more questions than answers. I wanted to get one last taste of Uranus at the town's cafe. A taste of Uranus. Sitting here with the number 2 special and a Muggle Brown, I was pondering how I would ever explain.
Hey, are you that Dick Rogers fella that was interviewing everyone around town?
Yes, I've been investigating this case for almost a year now.
Well, good thing I ran into you before you could leave town. I've actually got some footage on my security cameras that explains this whole business. Exsanguinated cows and all. Come with me.
Really? You've got it all on tape?
Sure, it's all here in the back office. I'll show you everything I have. Since it's not like you're going to have time to spread this around.
What?
My name is Sandy, and my mom owns Taste of Uranus, the coffee shop in Molderville. She made me clean under the counter, and I found this old digi-recorder filled with this detective's voice notes. It took a while to find the right connections for this old tech, but I finally filtered the recordings and wanted to post it for all of you true crime aficionados. Anyone heard of this old crime? Let me know your thoughts. I'm still trying to find out if Spike ever did get out of that cell.
Okay, so we're gonna get into the outro. You ready?
Yeah, I think I've got it out of my system.
We're rolling. Start whenever you're ready.
Oh. Well, that was definitely not just another adventure of Dick Rogers, Space Detective, was it?
No, it was a serious change of pace.
Speaking of changes of pace...
Wait.
No, sorry. I actually wanted to apologize for what happened in the intro to this episode. I have, as implied, been trying to find another coffee shop I like as much as the one I used to go to. And I went to 3 different places, ordered all 3 of my normal drinks at each one, and drank all 9 drinks. Woo! It's good to get that off my chest.
Wait, 3 normal drinks? 9 drinks?
I'll admit it, I'm a bit of a drink goblin.
I'll say.
And?
But that's no excuse for the way I torpedoed the intro to this episode. I'm sorry that I went off the deep end and for how I treated you two. You were making a simple joke and I overreacted.
Yes, and?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry for calling you Skeevy Mike.
And?
No,
I was joking that time. Thanks for the apology.
So what was your favorite sound effect and fictional technology?
Oh, the zipper was definitely my favorite sound effect. Zzz. As far as the favorite fictional technology, man, There's just so many to choose from.
I know what you mean. I've always wanted my very own flying saucer.
9 drinks.
If I'm being totally honest, I ran out before because I literally did not know if I would make it to the bathroom in time.
And?
Okay, I'm also sorry for running out and for you having to find me and bring me back for the outro.
No, I mean, did you make it to the bathroom in time?
Oh, yeah, it was a close one, but I made it.
Well, I guess all's well that ends well.
I'll drink to that 9 times.
Ha ha, very funny. Anyway, hit him with the handles, Mike.
We're on Facebook at Dick Rogers Pod, on Instagram at Dick Rogers Space Detective, and Twitter at Rogers Space. And you can join the nerds on Patreon at patreon.com/space_detective.
I think we all know the next part.
And make sure to join us for your next Dick appointment. Same space time, same space place.
This episode's nerds are Angela Ventris as Eleanor, Dick Rogers, and Uranian citizens. Logan Wright as Daniel, Officer Perry, and Uranian citizens. Michael Storm as Mike Nutley, act announcer, farmer, lawyer, and Uranian citizens. Andrea Lang as automated operator, judge, Sandy, and Uranian citizens. Jacob Herman as Spike and Uranian citizens. Nicholas Johnson as rancher and Uranian citizens. And Brittany Stone as May, cafe owner, and Uranian citizens. Sightings was written by Angela Ventris with contributions by the whole cast. Music by Nicholas Johnson, sound design by Michael Storm, and audio editing by Nicholas Johnson.